Hi hosts, Norm here. A lot of hosts ask me whether it's worth it to have security cameras on site at their properties. Maybe you want to protect against liability, or just make sure that there's nothing fishy going on at your unit. In today's video, I'm going to discuss the do's and don'ts about having security cameras installed at your property, and as usual, please consider liking and subscribing for more hosting related content. Number 1. Don't use your camera to spy on guests. This one should be pretty obvious, but I see so many hosts who complain that one guest had more people staying than they had originally booked, or complain that there was a party and they can tell from looking at the security cameras how many cars were parked out front. I'm gonna make something very clear. In hospitality, it's actually relatively common that guests book for less people than show on their booking. This happens all the time in hotels. This is also one of the reasons why I suggest against pricing based on occupancy. Your dwelling should have a price for full access, and just because there's an extra person who showed up, they should not be charged an extra person's fee of $25 or $50 per night, or whatever you set the fee to be. Because let's be honest, it doesn't really change much about your cleaning obligations. I also don't suggest looking at your security cameras to just quote unquote check up on your guests. It's creepy, it's weird, and there's no reason for you to suspect anything unless something's actively happening. As a host, you should allow your guests to enjoy the space that you've rented out to them in peace and quiet. Do install outdoor security cameras to protect against liability. I'm not against installing security cameras if they're used in the right way. If you're using them only outdoors and to protect against liability, I'm totally pro camera. You can protect yourself against theft and property damage this way, and you can check the cameras when you have suspicion of wrongdoing. Don't install indoor security cameras in the unit. I know some hosts who have chosen to put in security cameras indoors in spaces such as the kitchen or the living room, and this is something that I am totally against. It's almost an invasion of privacy, and you're really opening yourself up to a negative guest experience. The guest has paid you to use your space and has a reasonable expectation of privacy. Never ever put your security cameras indoor to monitor the activity of your guests. If you are that untrusting of guest action in your unit, you probably shouldn't be hosting. Now, you might be thinking, won't this open me up to more liability? What if my guests break something? Let me just say this. If you're worried about damage to your furniture, there are other ways to monitor it. If you notice that somebody's broken your chair, take pictures immediately after departure and report it to AirCover, for example, to submit a claim. I always suggest taking before pictures when you've cleaned the unit in preparation for the next guest, and after pictures if there are any damages, which will help you with your claim if you have to submit one. Do always disclose the use of security cameras with websites like Airbnb and VRBO and your guests. Depending on where you live, this may actually be a requirement. The last thing that you want to do is to be shut down or temporarily suspended because you didn't disclose your security camera location. I've seen this happen, and it can take days or weeks before you actually get to relist. Unfortunately, this wastes a lot in terms of your time and potential revenue for something completely avoidable. Don't try to conceal or disguise your security cameras. I understand that you may have the want or desire to hide your cameras, but this is a huge red flag. If you are found to be hiding cameras and not properly disclosing it, you're going to open yourself up to potential legal action and even a police investigation. It is always better to be honest about what you have than to try and hide. And just a general rule of thumb, if you're trying to hide something from your guests, it probably doesn't belong in your vacation rental. Do read up on local, state and provincial, and federal privacy laws. It's important for you to be familiar with the different laws you will be dealing with. For example, just because audio recording is allowed in one jurisdiction does not mean that the same laws apply in the next one. With this in mind, depending on where your vacation rental is located, you should be familiar with the laws covering that area, especially if this is your first investment in that geography. And if your unit is part of a condo board, there may even be more rules to follow, so if you're unsure, I recommend reading up on those as well. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope this video helped you decide whether or not a security camera system is the right fit for you and your property, and some of the things you might be dealing with if you have one at your property. Do you have security cameras at your Airbnb? Let me know in the comments below. You can find the link to my website and blog in the description, and as always, happy hosting.